All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, it is time to do a market watch. That's right. On the first, for those who might be new to the channel, on the 1st and the 15th of every single month, we do a market watch, seeing how the prices are moving in the, marketplace. So with that in mind, that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to tcgplayer.com, see how the prices are looking, and we're going to do OP10 cards first. Then we'll move over to red, green, blue, purple, black, yellow in that order. And then after that, we're going to head over to Limitless TCG and see how much decks are costing altogether for the newer players trying to get into the game. We'll see how much decks are starting to cost, and we'll see the overall cost of the game in general. Okay. And that's it for today's video. We're not going to do any kind of game at the end or anything. We're slacking a little bit today, but yeah, we're just going to focus on the market watch. So with that in mind, let's do this, guys. Let's get into it. I will have everything time-stamped in the general description, and I will have all relevant deck lists and links and things like that down in the comment section below. So please do not hesitate. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or if I miss something, if there's a card that I miss, please put something down in the comment section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link is in the channel description. So first up, we got the OP10 cards. We're going to start off. These top two rows are the cards we have to talk about the most for OP10. There's a few other cards we have to talk about as well, but we're going to focus on these top two rows, the most when it comes to OP10. One more thing I want to say before I forget and before I launch into this is if you plan on buying anything anytime soon, please do not forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link. It will be linked in the comments section and the general description of today's video. All you do is click it and then you do your normal purchases. It doesn't charge you extra. It just gives me a percentage of the sales. It helps me out big time if you don't mind, guys. I would really appreciate that. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into this. Tony Chopper, I would snatch these up immediately. I would not wait for this card to move around. I mean, I think at best, in best case scenario, Tony Chopper might drop down in price by maybe $1 or $2. So, I mean, buying it at around the $4 mark, I think you're going to be fine with getting this. I don't think there's going to be too much regret. Let me see something. I want to make sure the price is actually accurate. Yeah, it looks like it's right around the $4 mark. I would go ahead and snatch these up. I would treat this card as a SR. And hey, I got to get this out of the way too real quick. If there is an SR under $5, you just snatch it up immediately. No questions asked. You're good to go. That's a good value to get an SR for, is $5 and under. And for the really, really high quality SRs, $10 and under, and I'm not going to complain too much. With secret rarities, it's the same idea. We'll talk about secret law in just a second. If it's under $10, it's an immediate snap decision buy. And if it's like $20 and under for a high quality one, it's also, again, pretty much a no-brainer. Snatch it up before it gets too expensive. That's kind of the logic we use around here, but we'll talk about secret law when we get to it. Now, with Tony Chopper, this is just a rare. This is not an SR, but I would snatch this up. I would go ahead and snag this right away because, number one, it is strong enough to be classified as an SR as far as power level goes. I don't know if that's actually a thing or not. I haven't tried. I try to stay away from, going into the card values, but SRs are harder to come by than the rares, uncommons, and commons, right? They're a little harder to come by. And yes, Tony Chopper is a rare. However, I think most people are going to want to snatch this card up because it is such a very, very powerful card. Okay, I would get this as soon as possible. I could see it staying around the $2 to $5 range probably for quite some time. Next up is Sanji. Here's another one, guys. If you plan on playing red in anytime soon, you're probably going to be running Sanji. There might be a few exceptions to that, decks that will not run Sanji, but I will say this, after seeing the new Silver's Rayleigh card, the new Silver's Rayleigh leader, I could imagine this card is going to go in there unless it was some type of April Fool's joke that has lingered on. Okay, I'm recording this video on April 1st, so I don't think it is a joke. I think the card's, I think that leader is real. I think it is legitimate. So it's like with that leader, on the horizon, a lot of people are going to probably try to make that leader work, and we haven't even seen what support it gets yet. And I can almost guarantee you, I can't for sure guarantee you, but I can almost guarantee you that this Sanji will be a 4 of in a deck like that. And of course, a lot of people are shifting over to more of a Straw Hat package right now anyway in red. So running Sanji as a 4 of in anything to do with Straw Hats, anything to do with red, yeah. Go ahead and snag these for as low a price as you can right now. $13. That's probably closer to like $14 at this point. Yeah, I was going to say, I just clicked on it, go straight to $14. Yeah, this is basically the, I don't want to call it like the Gecko Moria level SR of this set, but I do mean it is like the Gecko Moria level SR of this set as far as price goes. It is just one of those cards you're going to want to run in any red deck, just like how Gecko Moria was in any black deck. You're going to want to run it, so that's why it's so expensive, and it's brand new. You know, it's got everything going on for it, and this is a really good card. I don't foresee this card going down in price anytime soon. And look at this, guys. When you look at the graph, in fact, we know it's not. It's just jumping and jumping and jumping. I'd snatch these up as soon as I could. If I were trying to get my hands on red cards, I'd grab this. Next up, whoops, I went over to the other cards. Next up is Tashigi. This is a... Let me just say this. The same thing I said for Sanji applies to Tashigi, Smoker, and probably Eustace Kid. Definitely Kuzan for Blackbeard players, but I don't think there's going to be... Let me say this. Kuzan is really only really good in Blackbeard decks. Sanji and Tashigi in particular, and Tony Chopper for that matter, they are going to be good in any deck that they share a color with. Excuse me. So in other words, any deck that has the color red in it, yep, Sanji and Tony Chopper are immediately going to go into that deck, or at least serious consideration. Same thing with Tashigi. If you're running any deck that has green, you're probably going to run Tashigi in it. Even more so than the Chopper, the Smoker down here. Smoker is a very good card, and if you're running green, you need to really consider running Smoker. However, these cards up here at the top, these are probably no-brainers. If you're running anything with red or anything with green, you're going to be running these cards. Okay, hopefully that made sense. Eustace Kid, I do expect this card to go down a little bit in price. It's just a new, very strong SR, and a lot of people do want to run. A lot of players who were running yellow in the past are going to want to add this card to their deck because it's a very versatile card. 8 cost, 9,000 power. It's not leader locked. On play, rips a card from your opponent's life, and then in a turn cycles cards. It's just a really nice high-end yellow card at SR rarity. Okay, so I would probably snatch these up. It's a SR under $5. Actually, it looks like it's going to around $4. But I still would probably grab this as soon as possible. I don't see it going down too much in price, but it might drop a little bit over time. Kairos and Rebecca, these are well under $5, so I'd snatch those up. Same with Monet. Did I miss anything up here? Divine Departures, even though it's not an SR, yep, I'd grab this for $1 a card. I think that's a very reasonable price for a card this powerful. Okay. What else? Is that it? That's it for the cards that are like over $1. Everything else is under $1 for the most part, except 2 more cards. We have to go over 2 secret rares. Okay, very nice. This Secret Law is dropping in price pretty quickly. It started up all the way at $30, and it looks like it's going down further and further in price. It's around the $25 mark, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I would probably snatch this card up immediately at the $25 price because we're about to talk about Silver's Rayleigh, and whenever a card gets into that $30 range, I start getting really hesitant on buying the card. Maybe I'll just make a deck without it, or maybe I'll just ignore it and wait for it to go down in price, or maybe I'll wait for a PRB set to drop it in price or something. That becomes my logic. $25 and under, I will pay for a good card, and if it's new enough, I will pay the $25 and under tax, right? It's like, okay, 25 bucks, fine. This is a secret rare. I personally think I think it's a reasonable price for this card if you're trying to play green and yellow, or excuse me, yellow in particular, but even green-yellow law. That's what I meant to say. It's going to be very good in any yellow deck going forward, potentially, if you're going to mix it with Supernovas. But this is a pretty... Let me say this. There will always be the matter of like how versatile a card is. Like, let's go back to the front page here real quick. When it comes to Sanji, and even Rayleigh, we keep going back and forth, even with Rayleigh here, Sanji and Rayleigh, these cards can go in any red deck and they will just be high value. Same thing with Tashigi. You're going to protect your board no matter what you're running as long as there's green in there, and this is always a 2K counter. They're just highly versatile, high quality utility cards, right? But when you go back into where we were with yellow Trafalgar Law, you're not going to run this outside of a Supernova list. I mean, you can't. I mean, I guess you can if you want to as a 7 cost 9K, but there's no effect if you can't put a Supernova type character card from your hand into your life. It's just a dead card. So I do foresee this card dropping down in price a little bit because it is very limited. Because in the same way, we were just looking at the 8 cost Eustace Kid. You can run this card. Whoops, I didn't mean to click Tashigi. My bad, guys. It's jumping all over the place. You can run this card, Eustace Captain Kid here, in any yellow deck. There is no restriction on it. whereas the yellow 7 cost 9k Trafalgar Law, you can only really get advantages and benefits from this in something like Supernova. So this card might actually drop down in price. It would probably be smart to watch how this card goes in the market. I could see it settling around the $15 to $20 mark, though, and I would not be surprised if it did that. If it went past that, though, guys, the market, sometimes it confuses me with some of these cards, but at the same time, you never know. We'll have to see what happens. Okay, I spent enough time on that one. One more card I want to talk about is this Monkey D. Luffy at $5 a card for a secret rarity. Snap decision. I'm buying that thing so fast. I already bought my copies, okay, guys? Again, I always wait about 2 weeks after the release. Or excuse me, I wait 2 weeks after the pre-release, sometimes 2 weeks after the release to snatch up my cards, and that's when I go ahead and buy up on everything, because I do want to be able to play with the cards at locals and stuff as well pretty soon, sooner rather than later. Okay, everything else is extremely affordable. I don't think I have to talk about anything else from OP10. I think everything else is pretty good. I don't really focus on the alt arts, so please don't get mad at me. We don't go over that here on the channel. So moving over to the red cards, we have Silver's Rayleigh to go over first. This is the card. It has been like dropping down in price. It kind of dropped down to like, what is this, $25 for a while there. Excuse me, but then it just kind of jumped right back up into the 31. It jumped up into the $30 range again. It's just a very versatile card. I hate to overuse a word, but it's one of those cards everyone's using in red. I could see this sitting around the $30 mark for a while. I'm just going to say it. We're not going to spend much time on this. I can see this sitting there for a while. It dropped down from $40, thank goodness, and then it kept going down, It fell all the way down to $24, and then it jumped back up to around $30, and I can imagine it staying around $30 for a while. We'll have to see what happens. Hopefully this gets reprinted in the PRB set, but again, we don't know if that's going to happen or not. Okay, now jumping down to the bottom here of customers also purchased these cards. We're going to talk about Dragon in a minute. Shanks under $5 for the 10 cost Rush Shanks. If you're trying to play red, snatch that up. We're going to talk about Beckman and Newgate in a moment. I've got them in another tab. Going over to Bad Manners Kit Course. Time to grab that. Yasop. This 10 cost Shanks if you don't have a play set. I don't think you really need more than 2 or 3 of this card, so I would buy what I call a pseudo play set, where it's like, okay, I probably will only ever need 2 or 3 of these Shanks in any deck that I put together, so I'd snag 2 or 3 of these right away if you don't already have them. All this other stuff is super cheap. All right, moving over to the next one. Monkey D. Dragon. This has dropped a little bit in price, then it jumped up in price. I think this will sit around a $10 card for the remainder of its time. It's just a very, very strong card. Okay, it has a very powerful effect, and it can be used in any deck. So 8 costs, 9,000 power, Rusher, around $10 and under. I would snatch this up. Look at this. This one's up to $10 here. $8, $9, $9. Yeah, I would get this card as soon as you can, guys, before it does go up further in price. I would grab my Monkey D. Dragons as soon as I could. If I plan on playing red, I would probably snag at least 2 or 3 of these right away. Okay? That would be a good, like, pseudo play set to start with. Edward Newgate. Now, this is a starter deck card. Hear me out right now, guys. Please listen in. Pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. I would get a full play set of these cards at this price, under $5, as soon as possible. I would snatch these up immediately if you do not already have your full play set of these, because we're going to talk about some starter decks in a minute here, guys. We're going to talk about some starter deck cards like Charlotte Linlin, which was a 7 cost 8K card back in ST07 for the Linlin deck. It was this leader right here at the top right. This 7 cost Linlin, $10 card now. Okay, and look at how similar it is. It not similar in effect, but a 7 cost 8,000 power SR card from a starter deck. It's only $5 right now. I would snatch these up as soon as possible. Okay, then next up we have Goldie Roger, $5 for a secret rare. It jumped up to $10 right away when we saw the new reveal of the red purple Goldie Roger leader coming out. I don't think we know the exact set yet, but I think it's gonna be OP13. But hey, I'm just gonna say it right now, guys. A secret rare under $10. Now this card is something you can use in any red deck going forward, but I couldn't imagine it with it being a 10 cost card with it's just a rush card with no like powerful on play effect. It just has, okay, when your opponent activates blocker, if either you or your opponent has 0 life cards, you win the game. They can't block out when someone has 0 life. I think this is just a good card to have probably as a 1 of or a 2 of in any deck. So I would get my pseudo playset of this card, 1 or 2 of these cards immediately and call it a day, and then you should be good to go for a while. Okay, we'll have to see what happens, though, whenever they show us what the effect is on that red-purple Goldie Roger leader. Okay, next up is Ben Beckman. If you don't have this card yet, what are you waiting for? Number one, it's been out since OP09, so it's been out for an entire set now, and this is probably one of the best, if not the best, red cards in the entire game under secret rarity. Like, Rayleigh's probably the best red card in the game right now. I mean, I don't know if people make those kind of comparisons. Who knows? It depends on the situation, of course. But Ben Beckman, absolutely incredible. 7 cost, 7k, 1k counter trashing characters that have 6,000 power or less, gets around KO effects, and it's just an incredible card. Please snatch these up as soon as possible. While they're still under $5, I could see this card going up in price over time. Okay, now moving into the green cards. We've got Zoro here. This is a $31 card right now. No comment from me, man. No comment from me. I get it. It is a card. Hey, that's kind of the what we're talking about today is how versatile is a card. How easy is it to move it across each different deck that it shares a color with? And yep, you can run Zoro in any green any green deck. Now, I don't think any green deck should just run Zoro, but at the same time, you can technically run it in any deck you want to and have fun with it as long as it has the color green in it. And there are some decks that are doing very well right now, like Jory Bonnie. And even Green Purple Limb. Don't sleep on that leader, guys. It's very strong. That are running this character. And like in the case of... there's 2 different ways people are playing it, right? In more of a fortress style with Bonnie, where you just wall up and then slam down this Zoro and tell your opponent good luck. And then there's Green Purple Limb that's just ramping to it. So you got a more defensive fortress style, and you have more of an aggressive ramp style that can play it. So there are a lot more options now to play Zoro now as time has moved on. So good stuff here. Very strong card. I don't see this dropping down in price anytime soon. I wish it would. The only way I can see this card dropping down in price in any time in the future is if they reprint it in a PRB set, which I hope they do. Okay, moving over to Cavendish, another card that I do not think will be dropping down unless there is some type of reprint. Do not be fooled by this top price here, guys, for $30. This card is actually floating around the $40 mark. Really $35 to $40 is what I would expect to pay for this card right now. It is completely out of control. I'm really hoping they reprint this card as soon as possible. That's all we're going to say on this one. One more thing about Zoro. Let me go down to the bottom here. Okay, we are going to talk about Eustace Kidd and Hody Jones. Make sure to get your Rosinantes if you don't have those. Green Purple Limb alt art here. I don't typically talk about alt arts, but this card is at $27 for the alt. I do have we'll have to cover. I'll try to cover this on the next Market Watch. But anytime there is an alt art leader for under $25 and even under $30, if you're someone who likes to pick up alt arts and see if they increase in value later, I think this would be an incredible price to get them at. $30 and under seems like a pretty good deal there. Okay, back to what we were doing. I got a little bit sidetracked. I do have to say this. I don't think I have this card up over here. We're going to talk about Usohachi right now before I forget. $10. Remember what we were just talking about with starter deck cards, guys. We were just talking about starter deck cards like this Edward Newgate being $4 for the card right now. This is a not SR starter deck card that is going for $10 because of how good it is, okay? Again, I would not take my chances with these starter deck rarity cards or starter deck and promo cards. You got to be very careful with these. Okay, now moving over to Cavendish. We already talked about this. I could foresee this card pretty much staying pretty high in price. If you don't have your playset of these and you're not willing to pay for it, I would consider playing another color for the time being. That's all I can say, and I hate to say that, but look at this, guys. This card is still selling. It's not selling very much. Only 30 items sold over a 3-day period. And if you look at some of the other cards, that is actually not very crazy. Let me go back to Silver's Rayleigh as well. Let me go see what he's selling for. He's selling for 57 items over a 3-day period. And then going back to Cavendish, what did I say for him? 38. So it's like the secret rare, how do I say this? This card is just so expensive. A lot of people do not want to buy it for these prices right here. It's just a little too expensive. Hopefully this gets reprinted very soon. Next up is Eustace Kidd. Very, very good card. Getting this for under $10 for an SR of this caliber. It has been reprinted already, and it's still $5 a card. What are you waiting on if you don't have your playset? It could potentially drop. Look at this, guys. It looks like it's about to drop down a little bit. I just wouldn't take my chances. I wouldn't take my chances. I'd snatch these up as soon as possible. Next up is Hody Jones. This card may not be all over the place just yet in OP10 for us in the West. But let me tell you right now, going into OP11, if there are no bans in the foreseeable future like that are coming out or any like emergency bans or anything like that, this card is probably going to be an absolute must-have in any green deck. I think most people would consider this a must-have in most green decks anyway, but hear me out. Going into OP11, being able to tap down Dawn with this effect to get around to play around Gum Gum Giant, make sure you have these if you don't already have them. Okay, now we're moving into the blue cards. We don't have a lot to talk about for blue. It's mainly just this Sanji. This has dropped down in price a little bit, and then it also went up a little bit. Like, it went down in price quite a bit. It down about $10, and then it went up a little bit. That's the way I should have said that. If you don't already have these and you plan on playing Blue Purple Luffy, you probably can get away with waiting a little bit longer to see if there's going to be any kind of... I referenced emergency bans when I was talking about Hody Jones. I'm not saying they're going to, and I'm not saying they need to happen or anything like that. We have to see what Bandai wants to do. But let me say this. If there is some type of emergency ban that hurts Blue-Purple Luffy, then this card, the price will probably go down on this card. But we'll have to see what happens. Okay, jumping down to the bottom here. Yeah, there's not a lot of blue stuff to go over. Make sure you get your Gravity Blade Raging Tigers, Gum Gum Red Rock, Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, Charlotte Pudding. These are staple blue cards if you don't already have them. If you're a newer player or you're trying to get into blue, make sure you snag those. The cards I just said were Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, Red Rock, see it down here, and then Charlotte Pudding over on the other side here on the right. Those are very strong blue cards you can run in any blue deck. I think... I didn't go over Marco. Let's see if we can find that real quick, guys. If I click on Ace, will it go over to Marco? Let me see something. Okay, this is a card I should have mentioned over in red. I know, we're all over the place right now. Bear with me. This will be the blue portion. We'll be going over, probably red more than blue in this portion, but it is what it is. Please make sure to snag these Marcos if you do not already have them. I don't foresee them going much under $8 unless they get reprinted in a future PRB set or something like that. Now, moving over into purple. Uh-oh, what's going on here? It's not loading in. There we go. Now, moving over into purple, we have Mr. 2, Bon Curé Bentham at an outrageous $50. An outrageous $50. So not only is this a secret rare, not only is this a very practical card that, a versatile card, as I keep calling them, that you can run in any purple deck, but it's also from EB01. So it gets the absolute hat trick, the trifecta of, worst possible situations here, of the worst case scenario, conditions where it's going to be this expensive. So it's super rare. It's used in all kinds of different purple decks, and then it's from a set that was underprinted. It hit the hat trick, like I said, the triple crown here for worst possible situations. Now, if you have a play set of these, maybe now's the time to sell on them. You never know. If you're trying to get out of purple or something like that, now's the time to sell your Mr. 2 Bon Curé Benthams. And I will say this, I don't foresee this card going down in price unless it gets reprinted. Okay, I know I sound like a broken record, but that's kind of what's going on with some of these cards we're looking at today. Okay, we're going to jump down to the bottom. We are going to talk about Sanji, Charlotte Lin, Luffy, and this Sanji as well. I believe we're going to look at. Make sure to snag this Sanji in case we don't go over it again. Make sure to snag this if you have not already. It's just a very high quality 7-cost purple Straw Hat card. Gum Gum Giants are at a very reasonable price. I'd get these as soon as possible. Trafalgar Law, Eustace Kid, the Uso Hachi we talked about a little bit, and then Hidekiri Kamazo. A lot of people are running this in their purple Luffy decks. So I would snatch these up for the remainder of OP10. But once we get into OP11 and even into EB02, we're probably going to be moving into a green-purple Luffy deck if you're more of a purple Straw Hat player, and then into a blue-purple Luffy deck going into OP11. This Luffy Taro, I would probably snatch this up as well. I didn't even plan on going over this, but it is a SR from a starter deck, from the same starter deck as Uso Hachi, the card we were just looking at that's going for $10, and it's not even an SR. So make sure to snatch these up if you don't already have them. Same thing with this Zoro. Let me see if there's anything else. Here's the Uso Hachi we were just talking about. These come from the same set, so make sure to get these Luffys if you don't already have them. And I think that might be it. Sangoro, I would snatch this up as well. It's just a nice purple utility card to have, and it's Straw Hat searchable. Let me see something. Do we have... Okay, good. I was just about to go back and click on this if we weren't already going over it. This is a great price for this card right now. It is $10, $10 to $11, I should say $10 to $12 USD right now. I would snatch this up immediately. This is a very high quality, secret rarity card, and it's well under $20. It's right at the $10 range, and that's what I would typically suggest you buy secret rarities for without hesitation anyway. I would get these if you don't already have however many you want of this card. Maybe you don't need a full playset. Maybe just snag 2 of them for now, and I don't think you'll regret that. Okay, but we'll have to see. Okay, is that it for the purple stuff? I think we have a few more. Yeah, the Sanji here. This has dipped down in price more than I thought it would, so that's a good sign. Now is the time to get these, because this card was all the way up to $12. Let me go back 6 months. Yeah, it peaked out at around the $12 mark here, or actually $11 to $12, I guess, and it's gone down since then. So I would definitely, actually, it looks like it peaked at $20. It says the highest price sold recently was around $20, but look at how much this card is. 282 items sold. In a 3-day, actually, hang on, this is, let me get back to a 3-month cycle here. So, all right, right here, it looks like these 211 items sold in a 3-day period. It dropped down to 145, 70, 121, and now it's down to, it's still down to 130, or it's still at 135 items sold in a 3-day period. I would snatch these up as soon as possible. Okay, then we have, before we get into the black cards, we have Charlotte Linlin, $3 for this card. What are you waiting on if you plan on playing purple? This is like, this is almost kind of like the Ben Beckman of purple right now, where it's like, okay, if you're running red, why would you not run Ben Beckman unless you're running something very, very specific? I would snatch this card up immediately if you do not have a full 4-card play set. It's just an incredible card, and if you plan on playing blue-purple Luffy going forward in OP11, must-have. It's a must-have. Okay? All right, moving over to the black cards now, we've got Brook. Brook is a card that's going, it has dropped off a cliff in price. It is less than half of what it used to be, right? Or it's right around half of what it used to be at. This thing sold for a peak, it peaked out like $43 a card. This is an SR from EB01, everyone's favorite set, EB01. But yeah, it dropped off a cliff here. And now it's selling for around $20 a card. Which is pretty solid for this. I don't know if I'd wait too much longer if you don't have your playset. We don't know if they're going to reprint any of the EB01 cards in the PRB01, in the PRB02 set. We have no idea if they're going to reprint the EB01 cards, but everyone is really hoping that they do. Speaking of that, guys, now we have to jump over to Chopper. I just now thought about this on the fly. Also, make sure to snatch up Jack. This card's going for like 1 cent. Is that right? Make sure you get your Jack. And this Hina for $5. Let me go through the bottom here real quick. We do have more black cards to go over, don't worry. All of this stuff at the bottom, I would snatch it up immediately, snag it as soon as you can. These are so affordable. Why not? If you're trying to play the game and trying to play in the black card pool. We have to check Chopper real quick, guys. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to find. Okay, perfect. It was right in the beginning. You'll love to see it. Tony Chopper, this card jumped way up in price, guys, because Zoro is doing very well after the bans, and it is running a Zero version with Chopper in it. And let's also consider the fact that if Rayleigh ends up being pretty decent, we have no idea. We have no idea what kind of support Rayleigh's going to have. But this is a 3-cost, 4,000 power character, so it's going to fit perfectly within the what Rayleigh is trying to accomplish. This card jumped up in price. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I'm really hoping, I know I sound like a broken record here, but I'm really hoping they reprint these EB01, EB01 cards. Yep, that's right, another one of those. All right, going back to the black cards, Sabo is at a very affordable price here. I believe this has been confirmed to be reprinted in PRB02, but $8 for this card. It is an extremely good card, and you don't have to wait for the reprints. I think $10 or under for this card. Not too bad. And this card was really, the most this card was seeing play in was in Black Yellow Luffy, and that deck has taken a hit since the bans. It's still playable, right? But that deck has definitely taken a hit since the bans, and this card has gone down in price because of that, I believe. I would snatch these up, though, if you don't already have your copy. Next up is Monkey D. Luffy here. This is the 7-cost. This thing jumped up in price, I think, back when Usopp was revealed. It dropped down in price. Now it's jumping back up in price. I do think it is trending, downward. So you could maybe wait to see if this goes down in price. Actually, I don't know, guys. Look, $7, $8. I don't know if I'd take any chances on this. I would probably snatch this up if you don't already have your play set. And I think you're only going to need 2 of this card. If you're running blue-black Usopp, I think you'll probably only run 2 of this card, maybe 3 at the most. Who knows? Maybe they'll switch to 4 in the future, but I run 2 to 3 in my blue-black Usopp deck or in my Rebecca deck, and I think that's like a perfect like pseudo playset for this card. Okay, next up we have Rebecca. Rebecca is under $5. This thing fell off a cliff after the bans, guys. It's just not going to be as good anymore. It really depended on Gecko Moria to be good, and now Gecko Moria is banned. For those who are not aware, actually, I think literally starting today, I'm recording this on April 1st, this card is banned. So good stuff. Yeah, this card fell off a cliff, but I would snatch up my copies now because you never know what might happen in the future for Dressrosa. Okay, next up is Portgosti Ace. This is $30. So now we're over into the yellow card. So moving over to yellow now. Yeah, $30 a card. It's not pretty, guys. I'm not saying it's pretty, but it is what it is. We'll talk about Shirahoshi in a minute. But this card, really hoping it's going to be in the PRB set. And let me say this right now. The cards that I'm hoping, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, I think I looked this up one time, the secret rares that they reprinted in PRB 01, there was 1 for each color. So there were 6 of them in PRB 01. 1 for red, green, blue, black, purple, and yellow. I'm really hoping they choose to do that with PRB 02 with all the secret rares we went over today. So in other words, now for black we didn't go over one, but they could reprint the Sabo or reprint the new Luffy. Well, I don't know. We just saw the new secret Luffy from OP10, so they probably wouldn't do that. But whatever secret they want to do from black, maybe like I said, probably Sabo. But check this out. So for red, there's Silver's Rayleigh. For green, okay, for green, there's Usopp. No, I'm just kidding. For green, there was the card we were looking at here, the Zoro. And then for blue, I think we messed it up. Hang on. I think we went off of it, and we were on Marco, and then we went to Ace. Here it is. For blue, we have Sanji. So, again, let me get there one more time. Red, this card here, the Rayleigh. And for green, we have Zoro. For blue, we have the Sanji. For purple, I think I got rid of that card as well. Let me see something. Well, they could do the Luffy, but I really hope instead of the Luffy, I hope they choose to do the Bonkray Bentham. That would be ideal. And then for, like I said, for black, there's not really anything for them to reprint, but if they just have to reprint a secret from each color, they could choose the 8-cost Sabo. And then for yellow, I'm really, really hoping they reprint this card to drive the price down, and let's keep the market at a nice equilibrium, right? We'll balance things out in that way. But other than that, this card is way too expensive in my personal opinion. We're going to talk about Shirahoshi in just a minute. Nami, $5 a card. Not bad. I did not foresee this card dropping like this in price, but it has. I would snatch these up now because I don't know how low they're actually going to go. Let me go back to where we were. You're the One Who Should Disappear. I'd snatch this up. It's under $5. It's still a great zero-cost utility 3K counter. Frankie, nice 2K counter. We can, get those as soon as you can. Beige, Gadatsu, Nico Robin. These are fine here. These are good prices. I don't know if I'd maybe grab this card now that it's banned, and who knows if it opens up in a limited or extended format of some sort. Then you'll be able to run this, right? So that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so let me keep this here, and we'll move on. Moving over to Shirahoshi, our absolute favorite, EB01. The prices are so outrageous for this card, and look at this. It just keeps trending upwards. Hopefully it gets reprinted. But other than that, who knows what's going to happen here. If you don't have your play set, I would just run something else in the place of this. Like, one thing that is nice about Shirahoshi is I think there are other options you can run. Oh, another card we didn't talk about in black was Laboon. We have to check that right now while we're doing this. Excuse me. With Shirahoshi, though, okay, so Laboon has gone down in price because I don't think many decks are running this anymore. It's just really expensive because it's EB01. And let me go back to Shirahoshi now. This card, I think you can replace this with another card from EB01, actually Viola, depending on what you're trying to do. This is another EB01 secret rare 2-cost blocker. You can run this in the place of Shirahoshi. I'm not saying it's as good, but in some situations it's actually better than Shirahoshi if you're trying to set cards, in life, or trying to flip your life cards face down. Like if you're trying to mess with your opponent's life or flip your life cards face down, it's even better than Shirahoshi in that way if you're trying to make black yellow Luffy work again. there's a lot of options there. And notice this, it has been going up in price over time, so I'd probably snag these as soon as you can if you've not already. But here's another card we forgot to talk about for some reason, guys. I think it's called Finger Pistol. I always call it Shigan Finger Pistol because that's what it was called on the sim for a while. Yeah, this is another card that's jumped up in price, guys. $11. Keep your eye on this one. Hopefully it gets reprinted, but we have no idea. This card is becoming outrageously expensive, and it is the single most expensive card in Blackbeard. We'll talk about that when we get to the deck lists. This card alone makes the deck over $50. If you were to take this card out, it would be like a $20 deck list or less. But it is what it is. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Okay, so let me go back to Shirahoshi here. I would probably snatch this up as soon as possible. I don't know if it's going to be reprinted. If you really need it, use it, but you don't have to. Actually, let me take that back. I would not snatch this up as soon as possible. There are other options you can run in the place of it. Soon, if you're running Supernova stuff, you'll be able to swap this out with the new Beige in OP11, like I said, Viola, or even just a 2-cost yellow blocker like Charlotte Galette. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This is just a Charlotte Galette. Let me see. Here it is. This is just an actual vanilla blocker. It's just a 2-cost 2K 1K counter blocker. I would just use this in the place of it right now if you can't afford the Shirahoshis. Now the other cards we are looking at, there's a reason they're so expensive, right? Silver's Rayleigh, there is no real replacement. I mean, I guess you could run the Edward Newgate in the place of it, there, or Ben Beckman if you're not for some reason not already running that. But Newgate can kind of take the place of it, I guess. But for the others like Zorro, Cavendish, there really is no replacement for some of these cards that are outrageously expensive. Same thing with the Sanji. Same thing with the Mr. 2. Let me see if I can find that. The Mr. 2. There is a decent replacement for this card, guys. I'll show you. That one is what's his name? Hawkins. Okay, let me find Basil Hawkins here for One Piece. It's a 4-cost card. I always recommend this card. Not many people do. I guess because it's just not quite as good. But hey, it does have a trigger to play it out as well. It's basically a really cheap version of the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham. 4 costs, 2,000 power, 1K counter, trigger, play this card. On play, add up to 1 Dawn card, rested instead of active like the Boncray does. And this doesn't have the when attacking effect to match the power of a character like this one does. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Some of the other really expensive cards, I'm trying to remember. Let me just run through them real quickly. Everything else was pretty well priced otherwise. Sabo went down in price. The Luffy's not too bad yet, Rebecca. And we talked about Brooke a little bit. So, and the same thing with this Port Gosti Ace here. There really is no replacement for what this card does. It's a 10 cost 10K that potentially has rush, and it can always gain you a life if you need to, but the rush is conditional. So really good stuff here. Okay, but for the time being, instead of running the Shirahoshi, if you just need the card, run this Charlotte Galette, okay? And but here's the Shirahoshi card we were just looking at. Next up is Nami. Okay, I did forget. I was already going to go over this card. This is a great price to get this card at. I highly recommend getting this as soon as possible. And then Monkey D. Luffy. This card has jumped way down in price now that Black Yellow Luffy has been nerfed in the way it has. Really good stuff here. And then last but not least, we have to talk about Yellow Linlin. We got Charlotte Linlin here for just under $10. If you don't have your copy of Charlotte Linlin yet, I'd snag that. This is another secret rare that's extremely affordable, well under $10. I'd snatch these up. 2 or 3 of these are probably all you'll ever need for this card, and you'll be done with your pseudo play set. And then for this Charlotte Linlin over here, the 7-cost one, starter deck. It's a starter deck, ST07 card. $10, really not that bad, all things considered. This thing has gone, hang on, this thing isn't right. Okay, it looks like they messed up however this thing used to be. I don't know what's going on with the price for this thing, but it's down to kind of like an all-time low down at the $10 mark. I don't know why it's showing the way it is. Something's wrong with this graph. But this card has been more expensive for a long time. Well, actually, okay, this is a moderately played one. Maybe that's why this one's so expensive. But for the near mint foils or the lightly played, it's not too bad, around the $12 mark. It's always typically been around the $10 mark or higher ever since the game has been taken off. Ever since the card came out, to be honest. So really good stuff there. One more card I want to talk about from Yellow before I forget is Flampe. Let's see if it links it to us down here. Okay, I'm not seeing it down here, so we'll just type it in. And that is Flampe from One Piece. Here we go. And it is this card right here. This is much more affordable. Make sure you don't get the wrong Flampe, guys. This one over here that's under $1, that's just a common what's it called, vanilla card. Make sure you get this one, okay? This is the one you want. Actually, excuse me, the one you probably want is this one, right? This is the really fancy, cool-looking SP art that just came out recently. But no, this isn't what we're going for, right? Actually, to be honest, I really like the alternate art one a little bit better. That looks really cool. Really nice style there. But this is the cheapest version of what you need here, $3.70. This card's gone down in price. This card used to be $10 a card, believe it or not, guys, because it's a rare from our favorite, EB01. Okay? All right. So, now going over from there, that's pretty much the entirety of the this portion of, you know, the breakdown. Now we're going to head over to Limitless TCG. So there's quite a range in deck cost right now. I have to say it's kind of one of the most extreme ranges I've seen in this game's history so far, but it's definitely, excuse me, there's a lot of very affordable decks, and there's a lot of decks that cost way too much because I think it has to do with some of the market watch stuff we just saw with some of these secret rares and some of these SRs. The game's becoming very expensive. Hopefully they reprint a lot of those cards. But first up, we're going to go over Doflamingo. Here's a third place list from Braden Turner. I'm going to make sure, if it's not an OP10 list, we're not going to go over it, okay? And I'll try to go through this pretty quickly. $55 for Doflamingo right now. Jinbei is now banned, so we're going to have to get rid of this card, put something else in the place of it. But to be honest, yeah, this is a pretty cheap list, and I think it's still going to be pretty solid. Okay, so about $55 for Blue Doflamingo. Moving on from there, Black Yellow Luffy. We got a first place list. Okay, this is an OP09, so I don't even want to look at it, but we will at least look at it because it's Black Yellow Luffy. This list is under $100 now since it's been banned. A lot of the cards in here have dropped down in price drastically, especially Sabo is going to be seeing a reprint soon, and just everything's kind of dropped down in price. Okay, moving from Black Yellow Luffy over to Lucci. Did I say the person's name, guys? I always like to give credit to the person. It was Fabian Godgluck. Hopefully I said that right. Sorry if I didn't. Then moving over from there to Lucci. First place list. Okay, I would say their name, but I literally don't know how to pronounce that name. But here's a first place list. Okay, this is from OP09, but this list is also dropped in price. It's down to $125. Moving on from there to Purple Luffy. Here's an OP10 list from Danny Tai. And this is a $220 list. Again, if you just drop this card out, which you can easily replace with the Basil Hawkins we talked about a $120 list. Okay, moving over to Red Shanks, we have a 13th place list from Joshua Brown. $384, guys. $384 because of this Tony Chopper being $100 for 3 of them. And 4 Silvers Rayleigh, $125, and that is over half the cost of the entire deck. That would be let's just call it $230 off the top, gone if you remove those 7 cards altogether. And what you can do in the place of those for the time being, very easy to replace those in this list, especially this blocker Chopper. You can just run any blocker here in the place of this, in my opinion. I understand this is, is this a more Straw Hat list? Yeah, it is. But they're not searching for anything that I can see on here. There is no searcher. Let me just go through the list real quick. Yeah, there is no searcher that I'm seeing over here. So you can just replace these 3 Tony Choppers here, the blocker one, with 2 more Lucky Roos. Or if you just want 3 cost blockers, you can even run 3 Baccarat in the place of this card. And now you save $100. Or even Shariah. Shariah is another great 3 cost blocker. Okay, so that will save you $100 off the top. And then Silvers Rayleigh, I've already said it's very hard to replace this card, but for the time being, you can just go up 1 Newgate, up 2 Monkey D. Luffy, and up a Lucky Roo. And then that's that. I'm not saying it's a perfect, I'm not saying it's a perfect replacement, but there's something, you'll be able to do that if you need to. Okay, so there's Red Shanks. Then we have Blackbeard. This deck, here's an OP10 deck, second place from Kato Minamikawa. Hopefully I said that correctly. $85, all because of this card right here. Otherwise, and these 4 Kuzans, I guess that ends up being $20 for 4 of them. But if you take out these 4 Finger Pistols, you're going to be able to have a deck that costs under $30, or right around the $30 mark, okay? People are starting to run a card in the place. I don't know if it's in the place of Finger Pistol or if they're just combining it, but there is a card people are starting to run. Let me see. Can we search up cards real quick? We will do that. Let me type in berries. Hang on. I bid. Nice. It was 500 million. I bid 500 million. That's what it's called. This is a great I'm not saying it's a great replacement for the card, but this is something you can run in the deck as well. And in the list we were just looking at, it was not even running this card. Look at this trigger. It's KOing a 6 or less, or return it to the owner's hand. You get to choose. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, or return it to the owner's hand. Okay, and then it has a lot of different options you can do on here. Okay, good stuff there. But again, and notice this list isn't running it, so you can just remove 4 of these and go in 4 of the event we were just talking about. It's not a perfect one-to-one swap out, but from the trigger, you're actually getting even stronger. It doesn't fill up your trash, so maybe you're not getting stronger. This is just an incredible card for Blackbeard, I'm going to be honest. It's just so insanely expensive right now for an event. Okay, moving on from Blackbeard over to Jory Bonnie. So guys, if in case you were thinking, like, well, I wonder which deck's going to be the most expensive we see today, this is it. Jory Bonnie. Here's a here's a first place list from Jasper Zoesia. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. First place list from OP10 here. Watch this. Okay, we have not seen prices like this since Enel and since OP05, right? OP05 and OP06, I think it was, with Enel, Red Purple Law, Blue Black Sakazuki. That's the last time we saw a deck get into the $400 price range, and it's because of a few problems here. 4 of the Zorro and 4 Cavendish. Those cards are extremely expensive right now. If you remove those 4 cards, well, that's minus $300, almost minus $300. The Cavendish just cannot be replaced. It's such a unique card. It's so relevant. And they're already running 3 Smoker. I was going to say just run 3, and they're running 4. Okay, actually, so they're not running the other carrot. Let me say this. If you do not have the money to afford Cavendish and you're just trying to make this deck work, go up a 4th Smoker and then go 3 of the 2K counter carrot. That card looks like this. I will show you that real quick. Carrot. It is this one. Just run this for the time being. I'm not saying it's as good as Cavendish. You need to understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's as good as Cavendish. It's just at least it's an affordable 70-cent replacement for the time being. Until the card goes down in price, or until you choose to try something else, or until you can afford to purchase the card if you're trying to save up for it. Next up is the Zorro. I think this is the most replaceable card in the deck. Anyone who follows my channel knows I'm not a huge fan of this card. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm just saying I'd rather run something else in the place of it, because sometimes I feel like it's more of a win more card. But who knows? This guy got first place at a major regional tournament here. This guy Jasper. Big congratulations to him. But for the time being, I'd go up a Eustace Captain Kidd, go up a Shanks, go up maybe some more 2K counters, or go up whatever large 8, 9, 10 cost character you want to go up in the deck. Maybe even, 10 cost Doflamingo. That'd be another good one. Let me search up the Doflamingo real quick to show people, because I actually forgot to, where is it? I forgot to go over that anyway. Okay, let me type in, okay, I'll just, Doflamingo. There's a 10 cost Doflamingo you can run in the place of it for the time being. It's not quite as good as far as like offensive power, but defensively, this is a very strong card. Okay, very, very strong card, and it's only like $2 right now, $1.60 per. Okay, so that's what I recommend for the time being, to be able to afford that for the newer players. Next up is Enel. Enel's going to be expensive, but this is an OP09 list. Okay, just kidding. I can't even click on the list. Notice where my head is. Okay, I can't even click on the list, guys. There's not something to click on. So we'll go to this OP09 list from Jonathan Chow. First place list here, $310, but I would not recommend going this, because this is back when they were running Kingdom Come, and this card has since been banned. So I just don't even know if I would even go for this list, guys, unless you're going to try something more like what I'm trying to do with it and go lower to the ground with the Sky Island version. And the Sky Island version is extremely budget, like $50 and under, I believe. Other than the 10 cost Ace, that's the one expensive card in there. Okay, in the version I'm running, I'm saying. Okay, next up we got Red Purple Luffy. Okay, OP09. We're just going to start going over these if there's no OP10 list. Yep, OP09 for Nami. Boa Hancock, OP09. Purple Yellow Nico Robin, OP09. So some of these decks, they have not been updated. There have not been a lot of OP10 lists to come out yet, to be fair. Bella Betty, we are going to go over, because the list really doesn't change much going into OP10. $35 for this list. Extremely cheap, extremely affordable. What else? Blue Purple Reiju as well. Whoops. We'll go over this list here from Antonio Estrada Garcia. I think we always go over this one. I feel like we always go over this one. $32 for this deck, and this one will be getting a some support in OP11. So hold your horses on that for all the Germa 66 players out there, or Reiju players out there. Oh, and for Bella Betty, that was Mitch's list we looked at just a second ago. Now, Yellow Katakuri's picking up some steam. This is a OP09 list. It's going for $130 right now, but I think the new list is going to be a little bit more expensive. It's probably going to be just slightly more expensive, excuse me, because I think it's going to be running the 8-cost Eustace Kid. So maybe be around the $130 mark for the newer versions. Okay, what else? Smoker. I don't think there's any OP10 list. There's not. Okay, Eustace Kid. Now, this is another very expensive list, but this is a 12th place list from a regional in OP10. Check this out, guys. This ace card, $115 in the deck, and Shirahoshi. So we can immediately carve $75 off of this list, because I don't even run the Shirahoshi in my list anymore. I run the Viola to set my own life cards, but you can even run something else like Hiyori. We didn't even check Hiyori, guys. What's going on? Let me see how much Hiyori costs right now. Okay, this card's going for about $1 a card. This is a great replacement for the time being for any kind of 2K counter you need. And actually, let me go back real quick. Let me see if they're already running Hiyori. They're not running Hiyori, so you can run that. It's a 2K counter. It's not a blocker, but you can also run the 2-cost Viola we talked about, and that's going to drop the price down quite a bit because this is $70 for 3 of this card. So that's going to drop it into the $200 price, like $270 price range. This 4-cost Nami is pretty expensive, but this is the other card that's really expensive in here is the Trafalgar Law, and this has been dropping down in price, so hopefully it keeps going down, and that hopefully we get a reprint for Ace as well soon, and that will drop this entire price down. Okay, and then we got 1 or 2 other decks. We're just one more deck we're going to go over, and that's Blue-Black Usopp, 14th place list here by Ziheng Zhu. Wait, did I go over the person's name for Yellow Kid? Zihan Lee. And then we have this Blue-Black Usopp list from Ziheng Zhu, and let's see what it is. $50. I just went over a Blue-Black Usopp list the other day. I knew this one was going to be cheap. The most expensive card in here is the 7-cost Luffy, and they're only running 2 of them. They're $7 a piece. Awesome price here. I'd snatch this up as soon as possible if you're trying to play blue-black. Extremely affordable, very fun deck to play, very like it rewards skilled play, and it really teaches you the mechanics of the game, and it's very controlling. It floods the board. It has a little bit of everything. Awesome deck that I have to recommend to all the new players. There's some other lists as well. Maybe I'll make a budget update list soon for OP10 because Calgara can go in that conversation, or even the new version of Enel that I was talking about. Blue-Black Usopp, Red-Yellow Bello Betty, certain versions of Red-Yellow Sabo. There are a lot of really strong budget options you can play right now in One Piece TCG. Okay, well, that's about it, guys. I think we're done. Like I said, we do not have a game to go over at the end of today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me go ahead and put up the outro screen real quick. We will be streaming tonight. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on what's it called, on YouTube, so please be sure to stop by and hang out on there. We stream from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and we'll be talking about some cool stuff in there, probably talk about the prices a little bit, and then we'll also be talking about, Rayleigh, the new leader that got announced, and Kuzan, another new leader that got announced. We have a lot to go over, so be sure to stop by and hang out if you get a chance. Okay, hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel with your liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing, using my TCG Player affiliate link, whatever you're doing to help me out. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it big time. Big shout out to anybody who's supported me through Patreon, PayPal, and donations, the Playmat supporters, the YouTube members, and the Discord community members. Thank you guys so much. Okay, hope y'all, again, hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, peace.